the Upper Bloom. My name is Jennifer. I'm going to be your go-to floral stylist. The reason that I'm here today is because I wanted to teach you the simplest way possible how to do your own flower designs for weddings or any other occasion. The next few weeks are going to be geared around doing your own wedding flowers, and we're going to start from beginning to end the way I would do a wedding myself, starting with the boutonniere all the way to the bridal bouquet. You can learn hands-on with me step by step. We are going to start with the basics, and then as the weeks go on, we're going to be getting into more challenging and creative things. So let's have some fun. And I want to let you know also that if you're doing this from home, you do not need a industrial cooler. You can keep your flowers fresh by simply buying them just a few days ahead of time, keeping them in fresh water and misting them every day and making sure that they don't get hot. So let's start from the very beginning. We're going to start with a boutonniere, and I'm going to have my friend Mary Lou come and demonstrate with me so we can show you how simple it is to learn. Come on up, Mary Lou. Okay, Mary Lou is going to learn right along with us. She is not a floral designer, but she is very creative and wants to learn, so we're going to all do this together. So let me start by letting you know what you're going to need. These are wire clippers, snips, rose strippers, a pair of scissors for your ribbon. You're going to need 1/2 inch ribbon, chenille, floral tape, corsage pins, a spray bottle, and a sharp knife. You're also going to need about 1.5 inch ribbon for when we get to our bridal bouquet. All right, let's get started. For a boutonniere, we're going to start with just 2 blooms. You don't want to use more than 2 blooms because we don't want it to be too big. We always want to use a smaller blossom for the top of the boutonniere and the larger blossom for the bottom. And for starters, what we need to do is we need to wire our boutonniere. So you start by simply taking your 26 gauge wire and poking it right underneath the head of the rose. Then you're going to pinch it to make a hairpin shape. All right. There we go. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Once you do that, here's your tape. You get your floral tape, and what you have to do, this is the most difficult part for people, is because it's sometimes hard to wrap without your tape coming unraveled. So the trick is to start at the top and just begin pulling tight. And while you're pulling with one hand, you're rolling with the other. When you pull your tape tight, that's what activates the glue in the floral tape. And you just twist all the way down to the bottom of the stem. Now you only need about a 2-inch stem, so once you get down that far, you just clip off the excess wire. 2. Not sure my seal. That's perfect. Okay. All right, now while you're doing that, I'm going to demonstrate the top bloom. Same thing, poke your wire through, pinch it into a hairpin shape. You need another piece of wire?
Yes.
Okay. Take your tape, start at the top, pull tight and twist all the way down. All right, now once you do that, we want to tape our 2 blooms together. Actually, I skipped one little step here. What we want to do is take our ivy leaf, this is a variegated ivy, and we're gonna wire that as well. That way you can bend your ivy into any direction you want. And what you do, it's almost like making a couple of stitches. You go up through the bottom, and then down through the top, and up through the bottom again, and then down through the top. And what that does is it enables you to make your ivy leaf pliable. So once you do that, we have to tape everything individually, and that way it won't fall apart. So once we do that, we tape the ivy leaf. Okay, that's okay. So the ivy leaf and the top smaller blossom is going to be the top of your boutonniere. Cut. All right, this will be the final step before you wrap your boutonniere. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your second ivy leaf and place it at the bottom, hold it together, and then tape it. Okay, so to make your boutonniere look balanced, you'll want to kind of just bend one leaf over to the left and then one leaf down to the right. That gives it a nice finished look. And then we just clip off the excess wire. Okay, and then while Mary Lou is finishing hers, I'm going to begin our wrap. Now, this isn't something that you have to do because the tape actually looks like a natural stem. But if you'd like to match the bride's bouquet or match what the bridesmaids are wearing, then you'd want to use just a little bit of ribbon and wrap the stem, and it dresses it up a little bit and it doesn't cost you hardly any extra money. So what you do here is you start from the very bottom and you pull straight up and just begin to twist in an upward spiral motion. And that way you don't have a frayed edge on the bottom. Okay, when you get to the very top here, you're going to cut off the excess. And then fold it over so that you have a clean edge. And then this is a little trick. What you need to do, you can't take a whole pearl pin and poke it through because it'll poke all the way through the rose. So what I do is I take my wire cutters and I snip off it so that I only have about a 1/4 inch pin, and then I just poke it through the back, and that is going to secure the fabric to the stem. Okay, so there is your finished boutonniere, really beautiful. This is very basic, it's not too fancy, but then again, for a beginner, you don't need to be really fancy, but it definitely makes a statement and has a really nice accent there with the berries. Good, that's perfect, okay. See, now this is only her first time doing this, and look how it turned out. And it's not exactly like mine, but now the only thing is with hers is that you need to just cut off your pearl pin a little bit more so that it doesn't go all the way through. You don't want this end poking out. But aside from that, it's balanced and it looks nice, and that's a very good first boutonniere, okay?
Thank you, Jen.
All right, you're very welcome. Okay, now that we know how to wire and tape our flowers, we're gonna move on to corsage. And you make your corsage basically the same way, it just is a little bit more complicated. We're gonna create our own bracelet first off by taking 20 gauge wire and taping it just like you did before. So it's taped all the way down. Then you take a 1/2 inch ribbon, sheer ribbon, and what you're gonna do is just tie a simple little knot at the top of it to hold it in place. And then you're just going to wrap your wire with the ribbon. This is just going to make your bracelet a little more comfortable. And the ribbon is meant to match whatever you're going to be wearing. Just like so. And when you get to the end, you're going to make another little knot. And then cut off the excess. Okay. Now step 2 would be to take each end and fold them into the middle. And what you're going to do is just wind it around one time, making just like a little 1-inch tail. And then twist them together so it doesn't come apart. Now this is going to be the base where you're going to be attaching your flowers. And this bracelet is pretty much designed to fit any wrist. It's adjustable and it's comfortable. So we're going to start with our rose and our top leaf that I've already taped together. And instead of taping everything, we're going to wire it together. So I've taken an 18-inch gauge wire and taped it. And everything that we add, we're going to wrap just one time. Now I've picked a little pink filler flower to add here, so when you add each piece, you just kind of stagger it below. That way, the finished look isn't going to be too chunky, it's going to be more elongated. Wrap once. And there's no need to wire your filler flowers because they have a bit of a woody stem. And then we'll add our berries. And then maybe another leaf. So we're kind of creating a pattern here. Whatever you do on one side, you're going to want to do on the opposite side so that it looks balanced. And then we'll add our bigger blooms in the middle. Wrap just once. Now would be a good time to add a bow, which I'll show you how to make this one. Most corsages have 2 bows and it helps hide the mechanics of the corsage. So it's good to kind of put it off to the side there, and that hides all of your tape and your wire. Wrap that once. Add some more filler. See how I'm doing everything on opposite sides. Okay, we're almost done here. Let's see, we'll add one more flower. Wrap. Another leaf. And wrap. Another berry. It's coming along pretty nice. Now, starting from beginning to end, this will probably take you a good 30 to 40 minutes to make. I've saved time by pre-wiring and wrapping my flowers. Okay, when you run out of wire, you just grab another one. I'm gonna add some more filler. Then one more leaf. Now I'm just going to take a second and show you how to make this ribbon bow. What you do is you just cut off a piece about a foot or so long. You make a simple little loop in the middle and pinch it together. Then you just make a loop, hold it together, another loop, just like that. You take your wire, put it right through the center loop where you started, pinch it into a hairpin shape, twist it, and then you're going to tape that. That's just a simple ribbon bow. All right, once we cut this, this will be one of the final pieces. Okay, so now we're at the very bottom, so we're gonna cut off this wire here. Now, I wanna finish it off in the same way that I started it. So instead of having this last rose face upward, I'm gonna face it downward, and that way it's gonna give it a nice finished look, and it's gonna look like it has a beginning and an end. So the last step here is just to take one more leaf and tape it on. Then I'm gonna hot glue in my very last bloom. So the way I do that is just snip it off almost to the very top, just like so. These wire cutters are kind of dull. I'm gonna add my hot glue, glue the base of it, and I'm going to poke it up right in here and just hold it for a second. Until it's dry. And then we're done. Now, at the very end here, all you need to do is curl this. You can do that by using a pen. And that just gives it a finished look. And that way you don't see the bottom of that stem there. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate how you put on this bracelet. Put it on your wrist. You pull one loop through the other to tighten it as much as you need to. And you can just kind of play with the leaves a little bit and just bend them into a nice shape. And there you have your finished product. Okay, one final point that I wanted to make about your boutonniere and corsage is that since these do not have a water source, it would be good to put them in the refrigerator. However, you do not want to have any citrus fruit in your refrigerator because the gases that they create can cause your flowers to die quicker. These are the only flowers out of the entire wedding that you would definitely want to refrigerate. Everything else is going to have a water source. And then, so the final thing would be just to mist them. And if you don't have a corsage box, which you can pick up at pretty much any floral supply store or hobby store, you can just simply put them in a Ziploc bag and then you're ready to go. Done. Okay, I always want to try to show a less expensive alternative or a more simple alternative to the different things that we're making. And this would be a nice alternative to the corsage if you would like to do this for your mother in lieu of a corsage. It makes a really nice statement and it's actually really different. So if you want the mothers in the wedding to hold a single flower rather than wearing a corsage, this would be a nice alternative. So I like to leave a little greenery on the top here. I think it looks much more natural rather than having a completely bare stem. So what I'm going to do is just kind of pinch it all together and then begin taping all the way down to the bottom. Now if you'd like them to hold a really nice long stem, then I would just leave it long and not cut off any. And I just think that this makes it look really elegant and graceful to leave it long. Okay, when we get to the bottom here, we're just gonna pull off the excess tape. Okay, then we're gonna start at the bottom, just like we did when we wrapped our boutonniere. What you do is just make one loop and then just begin to twist in an upward spiral motion. And you want to just overlap the ribbon slightly. And that way you don't see this green tape. Takes a little while to get the hang of it because it is really slippery, but just take your time. The key is just to pull the ribbon really tight so that it doesn't get unraveled. Okay, we're almost at the top here. Once you get to the top, you're gonna take a pearl pin and you're gonna just snip it off because otherwise it's gonna poke all the way through the stem. So we're gonna snip off a pearl pin like I've done here with wire cutters. Okay, when you get to the end, you're gonna cut off the excess ribbon, fold it over so you have a nice clean edge, just like so. Take your pearl pin that you've snipped off and just poke it through. Okay, now if you want a nice finishing touch and you want to dress it up even more, you're going to take another couple of pearl pins that have been cut and you can create buttons with these. And so all you do is just push them in like a thumbtack. And you can cluster them together or you can just go down the stem. And these would show off a lot nicer if you use a colored ribbon. If you'd like a more blingy alternative to the pearl pins, you can also use rhinestone pins, which would also show up very nicely, especially if you're going to be using a colored ribbon. You can also finish it off by doing a simple shoestring bow at the top and letting the tails just hang down, and that gives it a really elegant look too. Okay, we're all done for today. I just wanted to give a quick thank you to Johnny Jeans. If you like what I'm wearing today, I got my clothes at Johnny Jeans. Thank you, Brenda, for graciously wardrobing me for these videos. Her boutique is in Old Town Tustin, and they were voted 4th hottest boutique in Orange County. Stick with me. If you like what you learned today, you're gonna like next week even better. We're gonna learn how to make 2 different centerpieces, continuing our wedding series. Thank you so much.